Hi again, everyone. Today I'd like to show you how to make this tag. First of all, you start out with a tag which is roughly 6 inches by 3 inches. You can cut yours with a die machine, you can get a tag from a business supply store, you can cut it freehand, whatever you'd like. The colors I'm going to use today are Cajun Craze, Always Artichoke, Old Olive, Pumpkin Pie, Chocolate Chip, and Soft Suede. The stamp sets I'm going to use are French Foliage, Day of Gratitude, Autumn Days, and Lovely as a Tree. Now I made this tag using a different stamp set, Autumn Splendor, but I thought I'd like to see what it would look like with French Foliage, so that's what we're going to try. Now the first thing you're going to do is take a sponge and some Old Olive ink and lightly sponge the surface of your tag. Now it doesn't really matter if you start off the edge, you're going to do this very, very lightly. And it can be very uneven. You do want an uneven look to this. Don't worry if you miss a little bit, it's all going to be good. Now that you have it stamped with the Old Olive, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the other colors. We'll start with the Pumpkin Pie and your leaf stamp, and we're going to ink it up. Doesn't have to be too specific. And then you're going to stamp a few leaves. Turn your stamp, go off the edge. Don't do too many in the Pumpkin Pie. Now you don't have to wash your stamp before you use the next one because it doesn't really matter. Next one I have is Cajun Craze, and lightly stamp some more leaves. Do 2 or 3 of those. Switch to your Soft Suede. I think I'm going to like this French Foliage. It's not quite so heavy. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the Always Artichoke. You don't have to do this if you don't want, but I just want to see what it looks like with the green leaves as well. After all, autumn does have some green in it as well. Okay, now that you've done that, you're going to take your green sponge again. You're going to ink it up, and you're going to sponge the edges. You can go a little ways in the edges with this. It doesn't have to be too exactly near the edge. We just sort of want a little bit of a glow in the center, so everything else can be distressed here. Okay, you've done that. Now take your chocolate chip and a sponge and distress the edges to make them a little bit darker. Now don't go quite as far in as you did with the Always Artichoke. We want to give a little bit of dimension here. This is looking pretty good. Now whether I like this one or that one will depend until it's finished. Okay, the next step you're going to do is you're going to take your Lovely as a Tree stamp set, and what I used was this long tree scene. The first thing I did was take some Scotch tape and mask off some, because your tag is not large enough for the whole tree scene to fit. So I masked off the 2 trees at the end. I like masking with Scotch tape because it's really easy to remove. Okay, take your stays on and ink up your stamp. Sorry about that phone. Okay, sorry about that again. Now that you have these trees inked up, you're going to stamp them near the bottom. Now any line stamp will work, but I didn't really have very much to choose from. Oh, I forgot to remove the mask. There's a step that I screwed up. You have to remove the mask or else you're going to get that little black blotch. But we'll have to live with it for now. We maybe can take some of the brown and fix it up. If not, we'll just live with it for the sake of this demonstration. Now the next thing you're going to do is take your sentiment. In my case, I use the gratitude sentiment from Day of Gratitude. Ink it up with the stays on, sort of center it in the light part, and stamp. Okay, now this tag is looking a little bit bare. So what I did was there's a little maple leaf in Autumn Days. I took it, and now that everything else has been distressed and covered, I'm going to stamp these little maple leaves over top, in the top section of the card, or the tag. And for this you can use all of the colors you've used so far. So it doesn't really matter, but I'm starting with the chocolate chip. Just do 2 or 3 of each. In no particular order. Don't forget to be turning the stamp as you go, so you don't end up having all your leaves trickling to the ground in one direction. Okay. Now I can tell you right off the bat that I do like the one done with the other leaf set, the Autumn Splendor, better. But you don't know until you try. And the other thing I can tell you is I liked it without quite so many lines in the center of the tag. Now when you think you have enough lines, or enough leaves, excuse me, then you can stop. And that basically is your tag. What I did to finish it, instead of using ribbon, I used some wool, separated the fibers, because I don't have any of those cool fibers that some of you have. Once they were all separated, I just took and threaded it through the hole in the top of the tag. Now instead of tying it, what I did was I took some quilting thread, cut a chunk off, wrapped it around a couple of times, and tied the quilting thread. I just like the look of that. So now you see 2 different variations of the same tag. You can decide which one you like. I personally like the first one, and I also like the fact that I possibly sponged it just a little bit more in the center, but it's entirely up to you. So the only thing I would tell you to remember is when you mask off your trees, make sure you remove the mask before you stamp it. Okay, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed that tag, and I hope you give it a try. Thank you very much. Bye.